We're always taught to think of high intelligence as this incredible superpower, right? A golden ticket to success. But what if there's a flip side, a hidden burden, a world of struggle that most people never ever see? Well, in this explainer, we're going to peel back the layers on that complex and often really painful reality of what it can mean to be exceptionally brilliant. And this quote right here from Dr. Heather Joppich, it just hits the nail on the head. She talks about this invisible mask. And let's be super clear, this isn't just about dumbing yourself down. Nope. This is a full-blown survival strategy. It's what you're forced to do when you have to navigate a world that just wasn't built for your level of intensity. So that leads us to the central question we're digging into today. What if the very thing that makes you brilliant is also the source of your greatest pain? It's a huge question, right? Because it completely flips the script. It makes you look at brilliance not just as an asset, but as a real potential vulnerability. It gets to the heart of that deep, lonely conflict that so many people feel, but almost nobody talks about. Okay, so let's start by looking at this mask itself, this hidden burden that is carried so silently by so many people. This is the day-to-day reality of what psychologists have come to call social camouflaging. So what does this actually feel like? Well, imagine your mind is a race car, always on, processing every single angle of a situation at lightning speed. But the world around you, it feels like it's moving in slow motion. You try to jump into a conversation, you bring all this energy and these complex ideas, and you're met with blank stares. That right there, that's the core disconnect, an inner world that feels completely out of sync with the one on the outside. So let's put an official name to this experience. Psychologists call it social camouflaging, or, most people just call it masking. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the act of hiding your true self just to blend in. It's a survival strategy, plain and simple, and it's born out of that fundamental human need that we all have to belong, especially when you feel like you don't. So what does masking actually look like day to day? Well, it's intentionally simplifying your vocabulary so you don't sound arrogant. It's hiding how genuinely excited you are about a really niche interest because you just assume nobody else will get it. It's that gifted student who just stops raising their hand in class to avoid being called a know-it-all. Every single one of these is a small, quiet act of self-erasure. This analogy just captures the sheer effort of it all so perfectly. Masking isn't just putting on an act. It is a constant, mentally draining performance. Think of it like being completely fluent in a foreign language, but you are always on stage, constantly translating in your head, never truly getting to relax and just be. And the long-term cost of this constant performance, it's severe. It always leads to emotional exhaustion and burnout. But there's a deeper cost. After years of wearing the mask, you can actually lose track of who you are underneath it all. And that creates the ultimate irony, a profound loneliness, where you feel completely unseen, even when you're surrounded by people. So why does this happen? The answer isn't a personal failing. Not at all. The latest research is pointing to something much deeper, the scientific and neurobiological reasons behind this intense experience of the world. It's all about the science of intensity. Now, this is the crucial takeaway. The intense inner world we're describing isn't a choice or a character flaw. It's biology. The research suggests that it stems from a fundamentally different neurobiological architecture, a brain and a nervous system that are literally, physically wired to be more reactive and more sensitive. This brings us to what's called the hyperbrain hyperbody theory. The idea is that a highly intelligent brain is also a highly reactive one. This increased awareness means that even minor things in your environment, a scratchy clothing tag, a distant sound, can trigger a low-level chronic stress response. The hyperbrain creates a hyperbody. And hey, this isn't just a theory. There's some serious data to back it up. A major study of over 3,700 Mensa members found some pretty startling things. Compared to the national average, they had double the risk for anxiety disorders. They also showed significantly higher rates of mood disorders and even physical conditions like allergies and asthma. This is powerful evidence for that hyperbody connection. But here's where the story takes a really fascinating turn. What if all this anxiety and inner turmoil isn't a sign that you're broken? A psychologist named Kazimierz Dąbrowski proposed this radical theory called positive disintegration. He argued that these crises are actually the engines of personal growth. It's the process of disintegrating your old self so you can rebuild at a higher, more authentic level. Dąbrowski identified 5 key areas where this intensity shows up, and he called them overexcitabilities. Maybe you recognize yourself here. That relentless drive to know why? That's intellectual overexcitability. Experiencing emotions with a physical depth that others just don't seem to have? That's emotional. The key insight here is that this isn't about being too much. It's a sign of what Dombrowski called developmental potential. This unique neurobiology creates a series of strange internal paradoxes. So let's explore what it feels like to be the paradoxical self, chronically out of sync, not just with the world, but within your own mind. The key concept here is asynchronous development. And put simply, it's just when different parts of you mature at different rates. Your mind might be years ahead of your chronological age, but your emotional regulation skills could be lagging way behind. This internal mismatch creates a fundamentally different and often very confusing inner experience.
So what does this actually look like? Well, think of a child who can debate complex moral philosophy one minute and then have a complete tantrum like a toddler the next. That isn't a behavioral problem. That's asynchrony. It's like their cognitive brain has written a check that their emotional brain simply cannot cash yet. And that mismatch is just tremendously frustrating.
This leads to another huge paradox, this time all about empathy. Research shows a really fascinating split. Highly intelligent people often have supercharged cognitive empathy. They can understand what you're feeling on an intellectual level. But their emotional empathy, that automatic gut-level reaction of feeling it with you, is often just average. So what happens when you can understand an emotion perfectly, but you don't feel it with the same intensity? You develop a coping mechanism called intellectualization. You use your powerful analytical brain to manage and control the emotional response. Now, to the outside world, this can be misread as being cold or distant, when in reality, it's a desperate strategy to keep from being completely overwhelmed. So after exploring the burden, the science, and the paradoxes, where does that leave us? Thankfully, there is a path forward. Our final section is all about that journey, dropping the mask and finally embracing authenticity. This right here captures the crucial mindset shift perfectly. The goal isn't to fix the intensity or get rid of the overexcitabilities, it's to stop fighting your own wiring. The path forward is about accepting your unique neurobiological architecture and learning to live in alignment with it, not against it. So what does this path actually look like? Well, it starts with just acknowledging the mask without judgment. It was a survival tool. It helped you. From there, it's about intentionally cultivating safe spaces where you can finally lower it. But maybe most importantly, it's about finding your peers, those idea peers who thrive on your intensity. They don't just tolerate it. That's how you finally end that chronic sense of isolation. The anthropologist Margaret Mead put it perfectly, really reframing this entire experience. She said, "Upon the gifted among the misfits lies the burden of building new worlds. Being different isn't a curse. It's a burden, yes, absolutely, but it's also a profound gift. The capacity to see the world differently is what allows you to create something new." And so, the final question is for you. After understanding the cost of the mask and the potential for a more authentic life, this is the call to action. Are you ready to stop performing and start living?